Hi Simon, just your summary from today's lesson. So the main thing that we were talking about really was the fact that you have a bit of a tendency to let the club get a little bit too much underplaying on the way down, which was creating some path issues and also some issues in terms of consistency of the strike. So if we just have a little look at your swing and show you what we worked on from today. So you can see setup's pretty good from down the line. We talked about the width of the stance, trying to get the stance a little bit wider, and also trying to turn this left foot out here, trying to get the left foot pointing out a little bit more to allow us to turn through and clear the hips on the forward swing. The ball position was getting a little bit too far back as well, and we talked about how the tendency is when you've got the club approaching too much from the inside, that's going to tend to happen. So we just needed to tidy up a couple of things really. So width of stance being one of them, and trying to nudge the ball position a little bit more forward. So if we go into your swing, what we saw here was as you took the club away, the hands had a bit of a tendency to work out away from the body, which resulted in them getting a little bit too much in front of you. By the time the swing got about halfway back. Now from here, they pulled back to try and gain some depth, and as they pulled back, you ended up at the top with the shaft very much across the line, and the left arm a little bit too flat at the top of your swing. So from here, what happened was the hands then dropped further behind, and the shaft, you can see the shaft starting to flatten too much. So consequently, the club gets a little bit too much underplane at this point in your swing. We've got the club head and the shaft coming well from behind your hands, which resulted in the path of the swing being too much from in to out. And as we talked about, the tendency then is to hit for the club to bottom out a little bit early, so because of the shallowness of the arc, you tend to hit the ground, run into the ground a little bit early. So you can see how the club is actually working a little bit out to the right here, and if you combine that with the club face that's sort of square to the target and the path working out to the right, what you're going to tend to get is a shot that spins to the left, or if the club face matches that path, you're going to tend to get a shot that blocks out to the right. So it's possible to hit it both ways from that with that sort of action. And you can see on the way through here, one of the other things we were talking about was the fact that you don't really tend to let your body clear or turn through quite as well as we'd like you to, which again is all pretty common tendencies for people who have that sort of swing path problem. Again, just from the face-on view, we can see as you go back, you can see the hand kind of dropping down here. The body then gets a little bit slidey on the way down, so we've stopped rotating. So the body's now in the way of the arms, and that then forced the hands to get a little bit active. And you can see here as you go through, you're really trying to, one of the things we didn't really talk about in the lesson, but you're really trying to keep your left hand on top here, and trying to not allow the club to turn over too much. But obviously with the body in that sort of position and the head hanging back like this, it makes it very difficult for the hands not to get active, and it's very easy then to turn the club over. So you can see how you twist around into that twisty, unbalanced finish when you finish your swing. So what we did a couple of little drills and exercises. We set up a little workstation here where we had the sponge and the shafts in the ground. We also put one outside your left hip and just behind it to try and give you the feeling that that's where we want the hips to feel like they drive on the way down. So what we're going to see here, that the main thoughts we were giving you was to try and keep the hands working in on the backswing. The hands need to work in and up as opposed to out and in. So the feeling was of trying to keep the hands in which you do a much better job of there. And you can see at the top of the swing, the hands at the top get a little bit higher, and the shaft is definitely not crossing the line there at the top. If we compare that with top of the backswing before, bit of a different look. So we've got the hands in a much better position, and the shaft in a much better position there as well. So as we came down, what we really wanted you to feel was that your hips were going to work first, and the feeling for you was that the hips were going to work around to the left, so they were going to drive forward and around, really trying to get you to initiate the downswing with the hip turn. And we did this little stop-start drill where you stopped at the top, and you can see how the tendency is for the arms to work a little bit back first of all, not quite comfortable getting the hips to shift first at the moment. But even so, it did give us a better angle of approach coming into the ball. We weren't as under the plane as we were on this previous one. On this swing here, you actually just nicked the sponge, but you did hit a much better shot. You managed to get your path a little bit better on that one. You can see the difference when you finish the swing. It doesn't look as wrapped around, it looks more balanced. Whereas this one, you can see how your heel's right off the ground there. Again, we'll just show you the practice swing, which we were doing a pretty good job of. I think when you do practice, you've got to make sure that you are making lots and lots of practice swings. So again, hands working well in, good at the top here. And I think this one was better because we had we got the hands working more down the higher plane line. You can see how the lower body actually gets engaged a little bit earlier there. So we actually start to drive them hips forward and around from the top, which resulted in the hands and the club coming down on a much better angle for you. And you can really see how the shaft, about halfway down, is a lot steeper. It's a lot more through the forearm, which is where we'd like to see it, and doesn't drop under as much here. So the club's now more out in front of you, which in turn allows you to actually turn through the shot much better. Okay, and finally just the face-on view. So again, better setup, a little bit wider stance, ball more forward. Yeah, we had you doing the stop-start swing, so we wound it up to the top, and then, as I say, really trying to get the feeling of these hips, driving from here to that left post. So get the feeling that the hips are going to drive forward and around. And when you do that properly, that sequence, got the arms in a better hitting position. And if you can continue to rotate from there, what you find is that your hands get into a much better position with the club as well at impact, and you look more together there. You don't look like you're going to be backing off it as much. So your head and everything's more on top of the ball, and then everything works really round together. So the body and the arms, you can see the release of the club there into a really nice balanced finish position. Again, if we just compare that quickly to the previous one, what we saw was the tendency to kind of slide the lower body, the upper body hanging back, club releasing early, and holding on to that club, so not really releasing the club there. And you can see how the heel's really off the ground. So a lot different look and probably feel to that swing of yours. Looks a lot better. So I think you can keep working on these drills. Keep practicing the drills. Try and set up a workstation like we've done there, and find yourself a sponge or something that you can use to try and guide you into the right path. And I think you'll be fine. It's just really, there's a lot of good stuff in your swing, but you just need to try and really get that club much more on plane and try and sync that up with that body movement much better on the downswing. So all in all, really good session today. Well done, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. Cheers, Si.